Welcome to the Times of Israel's What Matters Now, a weekly podcast focusing on one issue that matters to Israel right now. Hi, I'm here today with Idit Ohel, the mother of hostage Alon Ohel. Today is day 549. It is exactly a year and a half since October 7th, 2023, when Alon was taken captive from a roadside shelter. He was at the Nova Rave. He was taken from the roadside shelter by Hamas terrorists. He was hauled into a pickup truck with Hirsch Goldberg Poland or Levy and Eliya Cohen. And Idit, first of all, thank you for coming to speak with us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your attention. So we appreciate you coming to us from your home in Lavon in the north of Israel.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
The last time you and I spoke was a few months ago. It was before the releases that took place in the end of January into February. And we spoke a lot about your artwork, about pottery and about drawings and about painting and the therapeutic approach that you took in addition to so many other things that you've been doing in dealing with this ongoing anguish and fear and pain and worry. And then came some of the released hostages, including Eli Sharabi and Levy and Eliya Cohen, all three of whom were with Alon until the days that they left. And they brought you, on one hand, proof of life of Alon, but they also shared the very frightening aspects of his captivity. The fact that he has been held captive for all of these days and weeks and months with shrapnel in his eye, in his shoulder, and his arm. Injuries that he sustained on October 7th, that he's bound in chains, eats almost no food. And since then, and really immediately after, you appeared on Israel's Channel 12 and you spoke very forcefully, angrily, painfully about this. And we are not seeing any progress in terms of the release of further hostages. And I want to know how those conversations were with those released hostages. I don't know who you spoke with. And of course, how you're dealing with all of this now, right now.
Wow. It is so difficult, I must say, because understanding that Alon is going through all of this, his injury is life-threatening. And the fact that he has not gotten any medical attention till now. No, the Red Cross has never seen Alon, never got to them, and he's being held in this situation is terrifying because he was with them and now he's alone and he's going through this because I have no idea if he's got, if he's been moved or whatever. And I have to, so for me, I think from that second, knowing everything, I have to be more I have to talk about things that Alon can't. So I'm crying his cry and I'm screaming his scream, and that's what I've been doing. I've been talking, with Eli Sharabi and Levy and Eliya. I've met them all.
You've met them all?
Yeah, I met them all, of course. And I've been talking to them all. I met them and on the phone with Eliya and with Sharabi. And just trying to figure out about how Alon is in all this situation. And, the horrific things that I've been told is there, but also Alon is surviving through all of this, and it's terrible. He's surviving, and he's continuing to survive every day, which means that he has so much strength, even though he's being, starved and bound in shackles and in his eye that he cannot see in one eye. And in fact, you have to understand, okay, all the doctors that I even spoke with, and I spoke with many many doctors and you have so many information about that. The fact is that it's not just the fact is that he still has a shrapnel in his arm. So the body sees it as like a foreign, you know, object, and he's trying to like to throw a lot of antibodies and stuff like that, and so his body is working overtime, and there's this very the body with this all this going into his blood and nervous system, trying to figure out how he can cope with that. And the fact that maybe the other eye, because one eye is like this and there's no treatment, so the other eye is like
Compensating?
yeah, and not just compensating, is saying, okay, so if this is it's like the body is taking over, and maybe so the doctors are very worried about everything. So that's why it's life threatening, because it goes through the blood system and stuff like that. And but he's a musician, so and he is like a his heart, his soul is so passionate about in things and
About music?
about music and about life and about so many things like that. So that helps him cope because he's playing. He's
Right. They've told you, I think Eli described this in one of his interviews, that he plays on his chest,
right.
which makes so much sense,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. It's like people will think, well, he's tapping, or maybe he's like, but it's not tapping. It's actually
He's playing.
he's playing. He's moving his hands with like it's like playing the piano and continuing in his mind, doing that all the time. And also he's whistling. They don't
Oh,
even
wow.
sing, so that they don't sing. So he's whistling all the time. He's whistling music, the songs that he loves. He's whistling that, and that helps him, be centered and think about the future and just survive. He's trying his best to go through this. It helps me know that he's doing that. I always knew he was doing that. And I didn't need them to tell me that he's doing it.
You could imagine him doing those things.
Yeah, that's because I know my son, and I know that he needs, when he's like in a bad place through his life, which is not anything close to
Anything.
what he's doing, is going through not right now, but the music is part of it. Music helps him cope. So obviously he's using it now too.
Sure. Just to tell our listeners who have heard this before, but that Alon was planning on studying jazz at the Rimon School of Music, right? That was the plan.
Yeah, he was thinking about different things, and one of them was, going into jazz and starting with that. I don't think he really knew what he was going to do in life. He was like, okay, I'm going to be a musician, and this is it. He was thinking about different things, but he really wanted to know more jazz because he learned classical music, and he felt jazz is more of him, more of what he loves. And
Right. Idit, I know that over the months, again, before these releases, before you heard these very concrete details about Alon and his survival in the tunnels under the underground,
40 meters.
40 meters underground. Right, right. And the torturous conditions. And before that, you and your family were doing every single kind of thing possible to keep the hostages' plight out there, center, including the yellow pianos, for instance, that have been placed in so many places for Alon, which people play in Hostages Square and in other places. And it's a constant, I think it's a constant kind of object of compassion and remembrance for people. And now, of course, since you've been in contact with these released hostages, with Eli Sharabi, Eliya Cohen, and Or Levy, and because you know so much more, and because there are no negotiations really going on right now, and there is no sense of when Alon and others will be coming home, I want to understand where you are at a little bit more emotionally. I know that you're at protests. I know that you're at the Shift 101 silent protests sometimes. I know you're certainly doing a lot of interviews. you've spoken a lot about the selection that was made, using that term for which hostages were freed and which are not yet. And I want to understand a little bit where you are at right now in terms of that approach. You and your husband spoke with the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a few days ago. I know you asked for a meeting. So I'd like to, if you could talk a little bit about that.
We're still doing all of that, but more, I guess. We're trying to get to more people, to more Congress. We talked to Netanyahu on the phone. Yeah, we know that Netanyahu knows Alon's situation. He knows his injury, life-threatening. He knows that it's crucial to bring him back as soon as possible to get medical attention. But I'm going back and I'm saying, okay, there's, I don't know about negotiations going on. We don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. But I'm saying they need to get medical attention now. So you can't go into Gaza and have like Palestinians, Azatis, medical attention and food or whatever, and there's injured, hostages in Gaza. This is not right. So why are you getting people getting inside from whoever and not giving what Alon and others need, injured and I'm talking about that. I'm saying to the world, this is not right. In international law, this is not right. So that's what I'm talking about and trying to convey.
So you're expressing in all of recent interviews, and you're expressing anger at Hamas, obviously the terrorist group that took Alon and injured him and has kept him, as you said, 40 meters below ground in their tunnels. But you're not expressing anger at the prime minister, at the government. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that.
I don't express anger at all. I not even Hamas. It's not anger. It's like saying, live up to the deal you asked. It's not anger. It's just. I don't have anger in me. It's weird to say that, but I don't have time for anger. This is not relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not angry. I'm just asking and I'm demanding, that is. I'm demanding the things will be right. I'm demanding for Alon to get medical attention. I'm demanding that my government to get to some kind of agreement and deal so Alon comes home and all the other hostages. I'm demanding the world. Alon has 2 other citizenship. It's not just, Israeli citizenship, it's German, Serbian, and I'm talking them also. This is your citizen. Make sure that he gets what he has medical attention. I'm talking about that all the time. And I'm demanding it all the time. I believe that Netanyahu has his way of getting hostages back. I do believe, and I think that Trump also wants the hostages back, and he's doing everything that he can, and he's working on it really hard, and he's trying his best. He's got some of the hostages home, and I know that he wants to continue and get all the hostages home, and I know he has the power to do it. And I hope that him and Netanyahu get to some kind of, understanding and the same road, if to say it, to getting into the hostages back. I think they see things differently, and I want them to sink in that, hopefully as sooner than later.
Yeah, I can understand that. Idit, in your conversations with released hostages, with Eli, with Eliya, with Or, have they said anything that has been helpful to you? That has, there's the playing the piano and the whistling. What have they said that's given you hope?
Well, you see, Alon talks about us all the time. In captivity, I think hope is the fact that I know that Alon is thinking about his future. So if he's there thinking about and seeing his future and knowing what he wants to do in life and sees it constantly, then I know that Alon is coming home alive. I know this. And this is something that I will never stop seeing, believing, and hoping. Never. Because this is something that I know. And the fact that he himself sees that he's coming home alive, that he has a future, it syncs with what I see. And, we're doing it like here, we're doing different meditations like every day. I'm doing this community meditations of seeing Alon coming home and everything. And before he goes to sleep at night, if he knows the difference between night and day, whatever. But he does once a day, he does this meditation. He sits and he meditates. And it's amazing because we're doing it and he's doing it. And there's we're always singing this song that he loves and he sings it. Actually, he doesn't sing it, but he whistles it in captivity.
Can you tell us what the song is?
It's called in Hebrew. It's called a song in Hebrew. It's called Shem Shir Lelo Shem, which is in English a song with no name. It's a beautiful song, and where's I hear it all the time. It's on my list, my Spotify. Yeah, I play, so I see it all. I hear it all the time.
כי שירי הוא הלב הרוח, הנידף השחוח.
And I think it's everyone thinking about him, praying for him. So many people, thousands of people. And when you're thinking of one person and you're hoping and you see them and you send them, a lot of strength, it gets to them. And for me, that makes me feel that we're doing something. It's not just talk. It's, in life, you have to work in some different levels. So there's like um, it's like the level where it's here and now. It's talking with government officials and doing rallies or whatever, right? But there's also something else, which is faith and prayer and it's there. So it's two things, in meditations, it's two things that come together. So you have to be down and up all the time and doing both things that are, for me, are connected. Because when I do prayer and then I do things that are talking to people, and it's both. It connects
Makes sense.
spiritual things and physical here and now things. Like,
You need both of those
yeah,
in order
yeah.
to keep on moving forward.
And we're coming to Passover, which is, so we're not doing seder and anything. Our family is not going to do anything like that. But I'm saying,
Do you usually?
of course we do. Of course we do. We do all the holidays, of course. But no, with Alon not being with us, we're going to be a family together. But I don't know if we're going to do it like a seder.
Sit down and go through the Haggadah,
Well,
go through
I
the
don't know if
story
we're
of
going to do that.
Passover.
But what I can say about it is if we think about Passover, the meaning of Passover, and the freeing of the Israeli people from slavery to freedom. Okay, so this is the time. This is a very crucial time, and I'm thinking, and I'm saying, okay, to free the hostages, it's not just on one person. To free the hostages, we need a nation, a whole nation, to free the hostages, because if we all say the same thing, we all want the same thing, this will happen. So yes, it's like Moshe Rabbeinu, he freed, you say he freed all the Israelites, right? But if they didn't want it, if they were not wanting freedom and knowing that there's something more than what they have. This will never happen, because to free something, it's a connection thing. It's like so I believe that to free the hostages, we need people. We need so many. We need all the Jewish community. It's not in the world. Yeah. It's not just on one person. When you say it about Netanyahu, yes, he will sign the deal, but he needs people to tell him what
to push him forward.
What we want. Yeah, to push him forward. So, and we know, and it's about faith, and and if the whole nation wants them to come home and they think about everybody, all the hostages, then they're part of this whole thing. It's not just, that's how I see it,
It echoes something that John Polin, the father of Hirsch, has said recently, that this cannot be a Passover like any other, because there are 59 hostages. And of course, Alon is one of them. And that in a sense, the whole nation really has to, as you're saying, has to recognize the moment that we're in, that we have hostages in Gaza, and that we are all in this situation.
Yeah. We are not freed. This whole country is not freed. The Jewish community is not freed as long as there are hostages, because those hostages there are part of us. They're part of our body, part of us. So if we see that they're still there, we are not freed. Each person here, and I hear it from a lot of people telling me that we don't feel that we are freed as long as there are still hostages, because it could have happened to anyone.
Sure.
Anyone living in this country, anyone. At the 7th of October, and it can happen to anyone in the world, because terrorism continues. Okay, so, and it will continue as long as the world doesn't do anything about it. So I'm thinking, how can you feel free when one of your, like, it's a party.
People.
Yeah, people. Yeah. Is not. So Passover is not a regular Passover at all. At all.
Right. One more question, Idit. I've read that you've spoken about Alon being from a strong, long line of family members who went through difficult, impossible things during the Holocaust, during World War II. And that you think about that. You think about that, what kind of grandparents I assume he came from, or great-grandparents, other relatives. And of course, that is a day, Holocaust Remembrance Day, we mark it right after Passover. We mark it the week after.
That's a good thing that you. Alon's father, his grandfather was in Auschwitz, and he came out 30 kilos. And my grandfather was. We have so many family members that were in the Holocaust. My grandmother was in Machane, also in
A concentration camp.
Yeah, so we do. So I think it's in his bones, and it goes through. Yeah, but what I wanted to say, this year, every year Yad Vashem, there's like a poster for that year for the Holocaust Memorial Day. And they have this competition. The different people make this different design, and they chose this year. It's like you see, like the cloth with the lines. The Holocaust. They wore the kasim with the
uniforms.
The
uniforms.
It's like you see a uniform, and then it comes out to be a piano.
Wow.
Yeah.
For Alon.
I don't know. I'm thinking, okay, the person who designed it probably thought about Alon, maybe, or either if you remember the movie The Pianist. Well, it's either that or that. I think A Pianist was a long time ago, and Alon is like
now.
So I haven't talked to him. I really want to, but I haven't.
Right.
Understand where is he coming from? But this year, this is it, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he was in the Holocaust, his great-grandfather, and he's been starved and he had no food and was tortured and everything. And Alon is going through this. It's 2024.
Idit, in a sense, your sense of hope gives the rest of us a great sense of hope and a knowledge that Alon is getting through this and will continue to do so. And what we hope for all of you is just the ability to get through these days until the day that you have your son by your side. Yeah. Thank you, Idit Ohel. Wishing you a day of accomplishments and moving toward that point in time. Thanks again to Idit Ohel for joining us for this episode of What Matters Now. And thanks to all for listening to this episode. We'll be back again tomorrow with another installment. This episode was produced by the Podwaves. Any comments you have about this or other episodes of our various podcasts, please feel free to drop us an email at podcast@timesofisrael.com. Of course, always feel free to recommend us to other listeners and rate us wherever you find your podcasts. Until next time, take care, shalom, and Chag Sameach.